Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today we are doing the What's Next on Diego Pacheco, the undefeated super middleweight contender, following a big win over former world title challenger Maciej Sulecki. As Pacheco, in my opinion, this might have been the most impressive win of his career, as he broke down the former world title challenger Sulecki and stopped him. I think it was inside of like 4 or 5 rounds, as he remained undefeated with that big win. And now the big question is, what's next for Diego Pacheco? Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, Pacheco is the WBO's #1 ranked contender. And, it's going to be interesting to see what he does next, because Canelo's a champion. I know Pacheco's promoter, which is Matchroom, has said that they want one fight before a potential shot at Canelo, if that's even on the table. We also know that if Canelo gives up a belt, he's going to fight for the vacant belt, Do I believe the WBO is going to order Canelo to fight Pacheco next? I don't think so. I think Canelo, when he fought Munguia, I think Munguia was technically the WBO #1 ranked contender, and I think the WBO considered that a mandatory defense. So let's run through the top 10 for Pacheco and see what's possible. We start with Canelo Alvarez. I don't think Canelo is going to fight Pacheco, at least not next. It might be something to consider at some point, but you also got to consider that this guy's 6'4", Canelo's like 5'8". Does he want to take on a big kid like that? In reality, if he beats Pacheco, which he'd be a solid favorite going in, is that really going to matter to anybody? But I mean, hey, he just fought Edgar Berlanga. That shouldn't have mattered, and he fought him anyway. So we'll see, but I really don't think Canelo's considering Pacheco as a next possible opponent. Then there's David Benavidez. Benavidez seems locked in at 175 now. He fought Alexander Vucic there. Now he's returning in December to fight David Morrell, it looks like. So Benavidez is up there. Pacheco not an option. Then you got Jaime Munguia. Well, Munguia is no longer with DAZN and Golden Boy. He's now with Matchroom. I mean, he's now with Top Rank and ESPN. So even though it's not that hard with Turki Al-Sheikh in the picture now to bring fighters together, I think this might be maybe a bad matchup for Munguia. And I don't think Munguia would consider it, even though he is the WBO's #3 ranked contender. If the WBO title were to some way become vacant, maybe he would fight for it. But again, a lot revolves around Canelo, and right now I don't think this one's an option. Then you got former champ Caleb Plant. Plant seems, he came back, got a victory. His name's been thrown around to a bunch of people, with a bunch of people, but I really don't think this one's being considered right now as an option for Plant, to fight a guy like Pacheco. I don't think Plant would take a risk like that, so I think he stays away from it. Then you got Sergey Derevyanchenko, which is an interesting one, because Derevyanchenko injured himself against Christian Mabili. Mabili won the fight, no doubt, but, we cannot ignore the fact that Derevyanchenko got injured in that fight. So we don't know how good Derevyanchenko still is, and maybe this is the kind of fight that Pacheco needs next. Now, do I think it's going to happen with Derevyanchenko's injury in that fight against Mabili back in August? I really don't see this fight taking place, but you never know. It could happen, and I do think Derevyanchenko is a solid-ass opponent for him to take. So, I do think it could be a possibility. Then there's David Morrell. Morrell seems like he's at 175 now as well. It looks like he's going to get David Benavidez next. I don't think this fight would be taking place anyway, so I'm going to say no. Then there's Christian Mabili, another interesting battle right here, but Mabili's a top-ranked guy. I don't see these two guys coming together. Mabili is the #2 contender in the WBO, though, so if Canelo were to give up the belt, maybe he would, maybe these two guys could lock horns, because they're also two of the top 3 contenders in the WBC as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of the governing bodies are forcing Canelo, but I really don't think they are. And I don't think Mabili and Pacheco are going to cross paths in their next fight. Then there's Demetrius Andrade. I don't see Andrade fighting a guy like Pacheco. He's from what I'm hearing, Andrade and Jamal Charlo could end up fighting each other in December at 168. Then there's Edgar Berlanga. This is one that, I mean, you would think could be absolutely possible. Berlanga coming off the loss to Canelo, it might be a good test for Pacheco, but I don't think Berlanga coming off that loss is going to want to fight a guy as risky as Pacheco, so I'm going to say no. Then there's Shane Mosley Jr., who beat Danny Jacobs. I ranked him at super middleweight because that fight with Jacobs took place at super middleweight, but Shane Mosley's the number one contender down at 160, so I think he's probably going to return there. Other possibilities, as we look through the rankings, where Pacheco's ranked highly in, Osleys Iglesias in the WBC, Kevin Lee Sajo, Eric Bazinian's coming off a loss to Munguia. Pacheco's not even ranked in the WBA. He is ranked high in the IBF. I mean, he could work his way. To be honest, the IBF might be the way to go because Christian Mabili seems to be set on the WBC right now. He's the number 3 contender. William Skull and Vladimir Shishkin are fighting each other to determine the vacant IBF title. If Pacheco wants to get in the serious mix, he could take on somebody like Kevin Lele Sajo or something like that. He could fight that guy, or that Osleys Iglesias. He could fight him to try to move up the rankings. That might be an interesting way to go towards an immediate title shot going after the IBF belt, because that's the only one that Canelo doesn't hold. But he's number 1 in the WBO right now. Does he take on this Paulinus Najonimu, who's number 4? Not a big name, but Mabili and Munguia seem, the number 2 and 3 contenders don't seem keen to fight. Edgar Berlanga at number 5 doesn't seem keen to fight. Kevin Lele Sajo is at number 6. So I think Pacheco needs to face somebody legitimate in his next fight to try to lock down an eventual title shot. So we'll see what happens. I'm interested in following this win, if Pacheco is going to be moved up, if they're going to protect him and have him fight a stay busy opponent, or if they're going to move him up and test him against somebody a little bit more legit who's ranked highly in the WBO. So that's it. We'll see what happens. That's my what's next on Diego Pacheco, the undefeated super middleweight contender, following a TKO victory over Maciej Sulecki. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.